In the far ring of the Drift Bazaar, an old armored spaceship sat under dim lamps, while traders passed it with looks of doubt. The hull was thick with scars and faded paint, while the engines were quiet and the display tags blinked with errors. Nobody wanted the ship because it looked like a relic from wars that had ended long before most of the market had been built. Dealers whispered that it drank fuel and that its weapons were outdated, while smugglers said it was cursed. Yet a young human named Leo saw more than rust and broken lights when he stood in front of it. Leo had grown up on a scrap moon, where broken machines were a way of life. He learned early that value was often hidden beneath layers of neglect and fear. To him, the armored ship looked strong like a forgotten giant waiting to wake. When he asked the vendor about the price, the alien shrugged and said, 10 credits with a laugh. The low cost was a way to get rid of a burden that took up too much space. With a simple tap, Leo transferred the credits, and the ownership code changed hands. The market crowd watched in silence as the human claimed the ship that none of them wanted. Some laughed while others shook their heads because they thought he had wasted his savings. Leo walked into the docking bay with a calm heart and began to explore his new vessel. Inside, the air was stale, but the systems hummed with a deep, steady tone. Thick armor lined the corridors, and old-style panels glowed with a soft blue light. Leo felt a strange sense of trust, as if the ship itself was glad to be chosen. He powered up the core and watched as dormant systems came back to life one by one. The ship logs revealed a long history of battles against pirates and hostile fleets. It had been designed to take punishment and keep moving no matter how heavy the fire. Though its weapons were not the newest models, they were reliable and strong. Leo realized that this was not a useless hulk, but a warrior that had simply been forgotten. He named the ship Iron Will because it felt like a fitting title for a vessel that refused to die. With careful hands, he began to clean the control deck and repair what little damage he could find. Days passed as he worked, and soon the engines were running smoother than before. The market noise outside faded as Leo focused on giving Iron Will a new purpose. When he finally took the ship out of the bay, it moved with surprising grace. The heavy armor did not slow it down as much as the rumors had claimed. Leo guided Iron Will into open space and felt a surge of pride. For the first time, he owned something that could take him beyond the limits of his old life. Soon after his first flight, a distress signal reached the ship. A small transport was under attack by raiders in a nearby sector. Leo hesitated only for a moment before setting a course toward the signal. He knew that Iron Will had been built for moments like this. As the armored ship dropped out of warp, it found the transport surrounded by Sleek, a hostile craft. Laser fire filled the void as the raiders tried to tear through the weak shields of their prey. Leo did not waste time and pushed Iron Will forward. The old weapons locked on and fired with a thunderous force. The raiders were caught off guard by the sudden appearance of a heavily armored foe. Their shots struck Iron Will, but the thick hull absorbed the impact without breaking. Leo kept firing, and one by one the hostile ships were driven back. Within minutes, the transport was free, and the raiders fled into the dark. The crew of the transport sent messages of thanks filled with relief. They could not believe that an old armored ship had saved them. Leo smiled as he replied that Iron Will was still strong. Word of the battle began to spread through nearby systems. In the weeks that followed, more calls for help reached. Leo pirates and rogue factions had grown bold in the outer sectors. Each time Iron Will answered the call and proved its worth. The once unwanted ship became a symbol of unexpected hope. Other pilots started to talk about the human with the armored relic. Some were curious, while others were nervous about facing such a tough opponent. Leo did not seek fame, but he could not avoid it. Iron Will was making a name for itself with every mission. One day, a powerful warlord sent a fleet to capture the armored ship. He believed that Iron Will would make a fine prize. Leo saw the fleet on his scanners and prepared for a hard fight. The odds were not in his favor, but he trusted his ship. The battle was fierce as waves of enemy fighters attacked. Iron Will took hit after hit, but kept moving forward. Leo used every trick he knew to outmaneuver the larger ships. The old weapons burned bright as they cut through enemy hulls. Against all expectations, the warlord fleet was pushed back. Several of their ships were disabled, and the rest retreated. Iron Will stood alone in the aftermath, scarred but still alive. Leo let out a breath of relief as the danger passed. After that victory, even the largest factions began to respect the armored ship. They realized that raw strength and human determination could overcome modern technology. Leo continued to travel from system to system, helping those in need. Iron Will became a moving fortress of justice in the lawless regions of space. The Drift. Bazaar heard stories of the ship that had been sold for 10 credits. Merchants who had once laughed now felt regret. They had let a treasure slip through their hands. Leo never returned to the market to boast because he had moved on. Years later, Iron Will was known across the stars. It had defended colonies and broken pirate strongholds. Its hull was covered in new marks of battle. Each scar told a story of survival and courage. Leo remained humble, despite his fame. He knew that the ship was only as good as the one who believed in it. Humans had a way of seeing potential where others saw only ruin. That was what made them dangerous and strong. In a quiet moment, Leo stood on the bridge and looked out at the endless stars. He thought about the day he had bought Iron Will for a price that barely meant anything. That small choice had changed his life and the lives of many others. It was proof that even the most unwanted things could become great. The armored ship continued its journey through the vast unknown. Wherever there was trouble, Iron Will would arrive. Its legend grew with every new mission. And it all began with 10 simple credits and a human who refused to give up. Thus, the story of nobody wanted this armored spaceship became a tale of hope. It showed that courage and faith in the forgotten could shape the future. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter when Iron Will passed, and so the human and his ship kept flying toward whatever destiny awaited them.